Okay, welcome to Gaston College, Bio 169, Anatomy and Physiology Part 2. I'll be your instructor, Jason Moyer. This video will be a brief intro into the course, how it will be set up, how the grade will be calculated, how the labs will work, and so on. So in this video, we'll go over the syllabus for the course. We'll go over some features on Blackboard. We'll go over the course schedule. And lastly, we'll go over the information on how the test will work. Since this is a hybrid class, most of the stuff that we will do will be online, even though we meet every day for labs. Alright, first we'll go over the syllabus. Here's my contact information. Of course, my name, Jason Moyer. My cell phone number, 268-9003. You can call or text me there if you have any questions during the course. My email, moyer.jason@gaston.edu. Office location, Route 216. And office hours will be just before each lab we have every day. So roughly 9:45, 10 o'clock or so to right before we have our lab. So if you have any questions, then please feel free to stop by. Course description, covering all the body systems that we will talk about the next 5 weeks. Endocrine, cardiovascular, lymphatic, respiratory, digestive, urinary, and reproductive systems. Now, some of these chapters are going to be kind of long, some of these chapters will be kind of short. So it is important that you keep up this material every single day, because we cover a hell of a lot of material in a short amount of time. So this is a lot of material even for a regular semester class, whether it be in the spring or the fall. So in the summer, it's very, very accelerated pace, so you must keep up with this information. Alright, basic information about the course. 4 credit hours, lecture hours are 3 per week. And of course the prerequisite Bio 168, which is part 1 of the course. Materials that you'll need. The Hole's Anatomy and Physiology, 13th edition, the blue book, and its corresponding lab manual. If you are a student currently at Gaston and took Bio 168, it's exactly the same book and exactly the same lab manual. We just continue with the second half of the book. Alright? Here's how the course will be graded. Every class in the Arts and Science Division is based on a 10-point scale. So 90% and higher is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, and so on. That's true for every course in the Arts and Science Division at Gaston. And here's how this class will be graded. It's based on a total of cumulative points. There are 1,000 points available for the course, and they'll be broken up between tests, midterm exam, final exam, and 2 lab practicals. We will have a test on every single chapter that we cover, so that means 12 chapter tests. But only the 10 highest scoring tests will be counted at 50 points each. That's going to be 500 total points there. The midterm and final exam are 150 points each, and then 2 lab practicals at 100 points each, or be 200 points. And again, 900 points and higher is an A, 800 points to 899 will be a B, 700 to 799 is a C, and so on. Now, I mentioned there are going to be 12 chapter tests, but only 10 will count. That means your lowest 2 scoring test, the lowest 2 scoring test will be dropped and will not be counted toward your overall total, but you are still responsible for that information. So it doesn't matter if one of your lowest is a 0 or a 90. Your 2 lowest tests of the 12 will be dropped automatically. But the grades for the midterm, final, or the lab practicals are not dropped at all. So only 2 chapter tests are dropped, nothing else. Alright, here are some basic responsibilities and rights that you have as a student. Going over the syllabus, which is what we're doing now. Assignments will be graded fairly quickly. It's a lot easier to do it when the course is a hybrid class like this. Once you submit your tests, you'll get your grade right then. The midterm and final will take a little bit longer, but not too much longer. Let's see. Participation policy, this is important. For a class like this that covers so much material, you absolutely need to keep up the material every single day. That means looking over the notes that I post, listening to the lectures that I post, asking questions in lab or on a discussion board, or contacting me in my office or through text. If you don't keep up with the material, you aren't going to do well anyway in the class. And if you fall under a 90% participation rate by missing labs, not doing chapter tests, I, as the instructor, have the right to withdraw you from the course. I don't want to do that, but if I have to, I will. Makeup policy. Because I drop your 2 lowest chapter tests, there are no makeups. So if you happen to miss a test because you forgot or you have computer issues, that happens to be one of the tests that will get dropped. So it is your responsibility to make sure you are prepared for the test and when they are. And we'll go over that calendar here toward the end of the video. So there are no makeups for any grades, and there are no makeups for any days or any grades, and there is no extra credit. So be fair warned, it is in bold and is underlined. So nothing in the lab, nothing in lecture can be made up, and there's no extra credit. Course withdrawal. If you think that you have to withdraw from the course, it is your responsibility to go to the registrar's office and formally withdraw. You can't just not show up to lab and expect me to withdraw you. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. But as a student, it's your responsibility to withdraw from a course. Okay. Academic dishonesty policies. This is important that we need to go over. All the ones that are in capital letters are various forms of cheating or academic dishonesty. Cheating, fabrication and falsification, multiple submissions, plagiarism, and being complicit in academic dishonesty. This is very serious that we take here at Gaston College. I will be checking every test answer that you submit, not just yours, but everyone else's in the course. If you are found to be cheating, not only will you be kicked out of the class, you'll be kicked out of Gaston College in general, which will make it impossible for you to get into any program that you are choosing to follow, whether it be nursing program or physical therapy. So if you get thrown out of college, you're not getting into any kind of career path that you'd like to get into. So cheating will not be tolerated. I know it will be tempting to do so when all of our chapter tests are online, but there are ways that I can help correct that, and we'll go over that here in a few minutes. Let's see. This really doesn't matter for us because we are a hybrid class. Campus security information, where they're found, and their phone numbers for various campuses. If you have any complaints or issues with the course, or me, or the school in general, here are my bosses. The chair of the science department, Dr. Armstrong, her office here, her phone number and her email. And her boss, the dean of the Arts and Science Division as a whole, Heather Woodson, her office location, her phone number, and her email. So if you have questions or complaints, if you feel like you can't talk to me, which hopefully won't be an issue, but if you feel that you can't, you're more than welcome to talk to Dr. Armstrong or Ms. Woodson. Alright, here's our course schedule for the 5 weeks that we will be together. And remember, you have a test on every single individual chapter. We'll start with the endocrine system, then go on to blood, the cardiovascular system, lymphatic system and immunity, digestive, and then finally nutrition and metabolism. Chapter 17, digestive, is one of the longer chapters, but chapter 18 is one of the shorter chapters that we cover. After all those, we'll have our midterm exam. The midterm exam will cover information from all of these 6 chapters. Okay, and it's also when we'll have our first lab practical, and I'll cover that schedule here in a few minutes. After that, we'll have the respiratory system, urinary, water, electrolyte, acid-base balance. It's another one of the shorter ones. The reproductive systems, both male and female, pregnancy, growth, and development, and then finally genetics and genomics. Then our final exam. Our final exam is not comprehensive. The final exam will only cover information from chapter 19 on. So each exam covers 6 chapters. So you can almost think of the final exam as another midterm. It only covers information from chapters 19 to 24. Not the whole course, but just the second half. So that is basically what we'll cover in lecture and lab. As you would imagine, will correspond to what we do in lecture. These are exercises from the lab manual that we'll talk about. Endocrine, blood cells, heart structure, the blood vessels, lymphatic and digestive organs. Then our first lab practical. And then respiratory organs, breathing and respiratory volumes, urinary organs, reproductive systems, and fertilization, early development, and our second lab practical. Again, it's like the exams and the lecture. Practical 2 only covers information from here on. So just from here is covered by Practical 2. All this will be covered on Practical 1. And as we get closer to those dates, I will cover that in more detail in lab when we're together. Alright, what you need to do, this very last page, is a signature page. And it's like everything else in life, don't sign anything without reading it. So take the time to read over this syllabus in more detail. And you'll need to print this last page out, not the whole syllabus, but just this last page, page number 9, and fill it out with my name, Bio 169, and summer 2014, and then sign it. And by signing this, you are agreeing to everything in the syllabus. You know, how the course will be graded, what the grading scale is, what is dropped, what isn't dropped. And I need this turned in hopefully by the end of the first week of class, because that way you won't forget it and I won't forget it, because you won't be issued a grade for the course until I have one of these in my file. So just go ahead and do that, either first day of class or within the first week of class. So that's the basic syllabus for the course. Now we'll go into some aspects of Blackboard, and then we'll go over the calendar, then we'll go over information on the test. Alright, now for Blackboard, this is how it looks once you get into it. Mine will look a little bit differently since I'm the instructor, but the key points are still there. Of course, all the announcements will be here. I'll do the first announcement here after this video, probably later today. Course information is where you'll find here we go, the course syllabus that we just went over, plus the calendar that we'll go over here in a few minutes. Both of those are available for download. Lecture videos, there aren't any in here yet, but what I will do, this corresponds to the lecture notes. All the lecture notes are going to be in PowerPoint files, and the first half of the course is already available, chapters 13 down to 18. And what the lecture videos will be is me narrating those lecture notes like I would be giving a regular lecture in a regular seated class. So if you feel comfortable just reading the notes that are here, that's fine. If you feel more comfortable with having me explain it like I would be giving a normal lecture, then all those lectures will be here. It's really up to you, whatever's more comfortable for you. I'm not going to go back and check who watches the videos and who doesn't. So both of these aspects will be here. If you want to do both back and forth, that's fine. Discussion board. If you have questions about the course or about the material in general, maybe I didn't cover it as clearly as I thought I did, or if you just have a question in general, feel free to post it here. I'll be checking this several times a day. If you do have questions, make sure that you post it in the correct chapter. So if you have a question on chapter 13 here, don't put it in chapter 18. Just put them in the correct and appropriate chapter. This isn't a graded requirement. This is just for your benefit. Because if you have a question, odds are 2 or 3 other people in the class have the exact same question, but didn't ask in person. So feel free to post your questions or comments here about each individual chapter. Test review worksheets. Because we have such a limited amount of time for our course, and our tests can get pretty involved, I have posted review questions for every single chapter. Right now, the first half of the course is already posted, chapters 13 through 18. And I really, really recommend you looking at these chapter review or chapter test reviews. This gives you a good idea of the kinds of questions I may ask on the tests, how the questions could be formatted. It will give you a good idea of what I will ask. So some of these questions that are on a review may pop up again on the tests, some may not. But it is a good way to get a feel for what I will ask on a test. So definitely take a look at all of those right before you have your test. If you have questions about these, please ask. Now these are just review questions. These aren't supplied with the answers. You will need to find the answers, either in the lecture or in the notes or in the lab. But all my tests come directly from my notes, both the PowerPoint and the ones that I will narrate. So they're all directly from the notes that I give you. If we don't go over it, I can't expect you to know it. So I'm not going to pull some random question out of the book that we didn't talk about just for a test. Okay. All the chapter tests will be here. They're not available to you yet, even though they'll be they'll be listed here because I have them already created. We'll go over how these are set up in a second. And of course, your grades will be at the bottom. That's basically how this will work out. So everything you need is here on the left. Announcements, course information, the notes and the videos, discussion board, test review, worksheets, chapter test, obviously, and then your grades will be at the bottom. Alright, next we will go over the schedule. Because we're limited for our time, we need to keep fairly close in pace. We don't want some people being 2 chapters ahead or some people being 2 chapters behind. So all the tests will occur on a regular basis. All the tests will be on a Wednesday, Friday, and a Sunday. So I have the calendar all here laid out. The chapter tests are in red, practicals are in blue, and exams are in green. So again, we covered 12 chapters in just over 5 weeks. So you are going to be busy for the next 5 weeks. So you need to keep up the material every single day. And of course, if you have questions, always ask. Either in lab when we're together in person, or email, or something by my office, or text. If you have questions, definitely ask. Alright, so chapter 13 test will be on Wednesday, the 9th, and then on Friday the 14th, and so on. So everything here is laid out. This week here will be a fairly busy week. On the July 20th, you have chapter 18 test. Our first lab practical will be the 22nd. And when we have a lab practical, we won't have a lab exercise. We'll just have our lab practical, and then once you're done, you're free to go. The midterm exam, same thing. You won't have a lab exercise. You'll have more time for the midterm. And the midterm will be in person, but it'll be at the testing center on campus. And we'll go over that as we get closer to that. So you have the full schedule of when we'll have your tester due, when you have your practicals, and when you have your exams. So expect every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday to have a test due. And of course, the last week of class is here. Another busy week. Chapter 23's test on August the 3rd. Lab practical on the 5th. Last chapter test on on August 6th. And final exam on August 7th. Again, just like the midterm, that'll be done in person at the testing center on campus. So you have already now a full calendar of when your grades are expected. So you can't come back and say, well, I didn't know the test was going to be on this Sunday or this Wednesday. The full schedule is already here right now, available for you. Alright, now we'll cover the information that I'm sure most of you are looking forward to the most, information about the tests. So we'll cover this real quick. Like I said, every test will be just one chapter only. This to keep the test shorter and be easier to handle. Again, we talked about this before. Chapter tests on every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. The test will be either 20 or 25 questions long. Some chapters are just much shorter than others, so it's hard to get even 20 questions. So I think this only applies to 2 of the tests, but the rest could be 25 questions, but no more than 25 questions. So either 25 or 20. Because this is a hybrid class and the tests are online, in order to help cut down on cheating, it will be a time limit of only 30 minutes for each test. So it doesn't matter if it's 20 questions or 25 questions. You only have 30 minutes. So if you think you're going to have your notes printed out in front of you, or the textbook open in front of you, that may help you with 1 or 2 questions, but the time that you waste looking for answers, you're going to lose out on possibly 4 or 5 more other questions that you could have answered on your own. So you need to be comfortable with the material to answer each test in only 30 minutes. The test will be available in a 12-hour window. So on these test days, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, they'll be posted at noon, 12 noon, and they'll be available until 11:59 p.m., so just before midnight. That's when it is due by. You can't start it at 11:59. Once that test is started, it must be completed. You can't pause it to go get something to drink or something to eat or go to the bathroom, because the timer will start as soon as you start the test. So make sure that you are in a place where you have 30 minutes to dedicate just for the test and you're not interrupted. Once that time limit of 30 minutes is reached, or 11:59 p.m. is reached, the test will automatically submit regardless of where you are, and it will go away. So you only have one shot to do this every single time. Of course, if there are issues with Blackboard or the test, please let me know immediately. Email me right away, text me right away, because I need to know, because otherwise I'll think that you just skipped the test. So again, make sure that you can plan ahead, because you have 12 hours to take a 30-minute test. So make sure you know where your kids may be, what your work schedule is. Find a time that you can dedicate 30 minutes to each test on those 3 days per week. Okay? Alright, and that covers most of the information that we'll talk about in this course. How the course is set up, how the grades are calculated, the calendar, which is fairly important, and information about the test. So, if you have any questions about this course before our first day on Monday, please ask. I'm always here to answer any questions as best I can for my students. Alright, if you have any questions, please ask. If not, I will see everyone on Monday, July 7th.